In this video, we're going to talk about how to use the double and half angle identities to find exact values of trig functions. So the first thing you need to do is pause the video and write these formulas down for the double angles. Okay, remember anytime you see the pencil notebook symbol, that means you need to write down what's on that slide. Two of these identities you're going to have to memorize. The others will be given to you on quizzes and tests. And the two that you have to memorize are sine of 2 theta equals 2 sine theta times cosine theta, and cosine 2 theta equals cosine squared minus sine squared. So pause the video and write these formulas down. So let's look at an example of how to use the double angle formulas. So we're going to find the exact values of sine of 2u, cosine 2u, and tangent 2u. Now in our formulas we use theta. Here I'm using u. It's the same thing, it just represents the angle. Okay, and notice that they are telling us that our angle, is between pi and 3 pi over 2, which tells me that my angle is in quadrant 3, and that's going to be important for positive negative signs. So let's start with the sine of the double angle 2u. The formula is 2 times the sine of u times the cosine of u. Now I know what the value of sine of u is because they gave it to me. So I can say 2 times negative 4/5. The problem is I don't have the cosine of the angle, and I don't know what the angle is to be able to just use the hand trick to find the value. So I'm going to have to draw a triangle, and remember my angle is in quadrant 3. So here's a picture for angle U. If the sine is negative 4/5, that is telling me that y is negative 4 and r is 5. And I need to know what x is before I proceed. So to get our x value, we're going to use our Pythagorean theorem. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. But you know that if it's 4 and 5 for two of our values, our x should come out to be 3. You can still use the formula. And since I'm in quadrant 3, my x is actually negative 3. So the cosine is what I was needing to finish this problem. So the cosine of u is going to be negative 3 over 5. Now, once I've got all my values filled in, all I have to do is multiply my fractions together. So I multiply straight across, and negative times negative is going to be positive. 2 times 4 times 3 is 24. 5 times 5 is 25. So the answer for sine of 2u is 24 over 25. Okay, now same problem, but this time I'm going to find the cosine of 2u. And the formula for cosine is cosine squared minus sine squared. Now, because of the last problem, we already have both of these values. We just found the cosine to be negative 3 over 5. We're going to square that. The sine was given to us. It was negative 4 over 5. We're going to square that. So when I square my fractions, I'm going to end up with positive 9 over 25 minus positive 16 over 25. And when I subtract 9 minus 16, I'm going to come out with negative 7 over 25 for the cosine of 2u. Now, the last one we had to find was tangent. And the formula for tangent of 2u was given to be 2 times the tangent of u over 1 minus tangent squared of u. Okay, now remember our triangle that we had drawn. Because I don't know what the tangent is, it wasn't given to me. Sine was given to me. But in our triangle, we had x was negative 3, y was negative 4, and r was 5. So the tangent, according to this triangle, remember, is y over x, which would be negative 3 over negative 4. And negative over negative is the same thing as positive. So tangent is 4/3. So now we're going to substitute 4/3 everywhere it says tangent of u. So on the top I've got 2 times 4/3 over 1 minus 4/3 squared. 2 times 4/3 is 8/3. And then I've got 1 minus 16/9 on the bottom. We're going to get a common denominator, so I'm going to make this 1/1, and then my common denominator is 9. So 9 minus 16 is going to give us 8/3 over negative 7/9. Complex fraction. Okay, but remember this really means divide. This line in the middle is divide. So we're going to flip and multiply. So I have negative 8/3. Oh, I'm sorry, that's positive. 8/3 times negative 9/7. And I can cancel the 3 with the 9. So that would give me negative 24/7 for the tangent. So all you're going to do is fill in your formulas. Okay, now for half angles are going to look like theta divided by 2, or x divided by 2, or u divided by 2. Pause the video again and go ahead and write down your half angle formulas. You do not have to memorize these formulas. Okay, so we are going to use the figure to find the exact value of cosine theta over 2. And our formula for cosine theta over 2 is plus or minus the square root of 1 plus cosine theta over 2. Now, the plus or minus is dependent on the quadrant that you're in. You're not going to get both answers each time. You're only going to get one of the answers. And since we are in quadrant 1, we need the positive, not the negative. So we are only going to use the positive answer on this. Okay, now look at our triangle. We've got a triangle for theta. And I need to know what the cosine of theta is equal to. So for cosine, I need x over r, or you can think of it as adjacent over hypotenuse, whichever way. But I don't have my hypotenuse, so again, I'm going to have to use Pythagorean theorem to figure out what my r value is. And when you work that out, you should come out with r equals 10. So that means the cosine of theta is equal to 6 over 10, and that will reduce to 3/5. Okay, so when I plug this into my formula, I'm going to have positive square root of 1 plus 3/5 all over 2. So to simplify, let's add the fractions on the top. 1 plus 3/5 would be 8/5 over 2. That means divided by 2. So I can flip and multiply. So square root of 8/5 times, when I flip the 2, I get 1/2, which gives me the square root of 4/5. The square root of 4 is 2. And I can't take the square root of 5, so I've got 2 over the square root of 5. But I could rationalize that, which means get rid of the square root in the denominator and have 2 square roots of 5 over 5. And remember, our answer was positive this time because we were in quadrant 1. If I had been in quadrant 2 or 3, my answer would have been negative because cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and 3. Okay, memorize your formulas for sine of 2 theta and cosine of 2 theta. After taking these notes, you should be able to complete your problems on page 394, and you should check Edmodo for the problem numbers and for the due dates. Be sure to ask me questions in class about any of the steps that you were not sure about, and make sure you have all the notes written down.